So hello everyone. Earlier I showed you how to create a GUI in order to turn on those three LEDs. Now I'll be working on creating a code in order to change the intensities of these three LEDs. So let's look into the code and then I'll be showing you this simple circuit which is just similar to the earlier one. So let's look into the code. The only change that I did in the code, let's begin by importing the libraries Tkinter, then the GPIO in order to create the GUI, and then setup mode I have used BCM, which means it's not about the physical pin present on the board rather than the functionality of the pin. And I've set up the warning to be false because it keeps on printing some warnings on my terminal, so I don't want to see all those. So I've turned it into the false, and then LED pins. Red I have given to the 70, green to the 27, and blue to the 22. Then I have talked about the pins. So the setup pins will be LED pins value. One will be the output, and at the beginning it all be at low. Then the function, first function is turn on the LED. It is same as the earlier one. So in order to turn on the LEDs, I had to select a particular color and then it will be turned on. But I had to change the intensity in order to see something because I have added something new. So only pushing the radio button wouldn't be sufficient if I wanted to see a light. I need to scroll the intensity bar for each of the LEDs. Then I have this cleanup. When I cancel the program, it would close. And then I have this LED control app. So this entire the interface, that's what it does. So the LED control will be printed as the title. Then the geometry, what will be the actual size of it. Then the configuration, which will tell you about the background. Then I have this create frame, main frame. So what kind of main frame it will look like. So the color, the padding between each radio button and all is decided through this. Then the title again talks about the LED control panel, the font of it, and the paddings, the background color, and the flag. Whenever I'm hovering onto it, it changes the color. That's what flag does. Then I have created the radio button. This was already discussed in the earlier video. I would be focusing on the intensity, create intensity slider. So first slider would be for my red LED, second would be for the green LED, and the third would be for blue LED. Let's look into the first slider. So first slider has a background color and it is present on the main frame, and then it has a padding. So at what distance it would be to the other buttons and the sliders. And then talking about the self slider, I have taken the slider scale. What would be the slider scale? From it starting from the 0 and moving to 100. We will be looking into it just in a bit. Then I have this orientation. I want it to be in horizontal form instead of being vertically. So instead of this, I would be dragging it along horizontally. Then the label would say red intensity. Then the background color, the flag, when I'm hovering onto it, it changes. Then the font and the command will be self-update intensity. It is another function. I'll be just looking into that. Then it ends and with the it has a sign to be left, and then the padding. Same is for the other sliders. Let's look into the exit button. Exit button is similar, so we won't be looking into it. Then initializing the PWM object. So let's look into what PWM object is. I searched a video, so I came across it. And let's look into this together, and then I'll be showing you my running my application and telling you how does it plays a important role in mine. So let's look into this video together.
Talk about PWM and what you can do with it. PWM stands for Pulse Width Modulation, and it consists of producing a square wave which you can control the up or high time. In a PWM signal, the minimum and maximum voltage are the values that limit the wave's oscillation. The space between them is called amplitude. A cycle is the interval of the wave where you can find one full repetition. The time a cycle takes to finish is called period, and the frequency is 1 over period, which gives you how many cycles are in a time unit, usually a second. A very important concept in PWM is the duty cycle. The duty cycle represents how much of the period in which the signal is high. In our wave, the signal here is high, and here is low. To calculate the duty cycle, you need to know how much of the period the signal is high. Let us set our high time as 6 milliseconds, our downtime as 4 milliseconds, and our period as 10. Now, let's use a simple rule to calculate the percentage of the period in which the signal is high. 6 relates to 10 the same way as our variable in percentage relates to 100%. If you solve this, you'll see that you get 60%, meaning that the signal is high 60% of the time. Let's imagine a PWM signal that oscillates between 0 and 5 volts. Let's say this signal has a duty cycle of 50%. Something interesting will happen to the output voltage. Instead of being 5 volts as expected, it will now be 2.5 volts. Simply putting it, this is because in a PWM signal you multiply the max voltage by the duty cycle. This is the formula. By applying this to our situation, you will see we will reach a 2.5 volts. Let's see what happens to the different components of the wave when I increase the duty cycle. As you can
I would like to stop the video here. So that's what I'll be doing in the code. Let's look into the code. So initializing the PWM. So I have told it to be 0. So when the actual bar is at the 0, it would not be providing any voltage to the LEDs. And when I was sliding the bar, changing the duty cycle means changing the voltage given to the LED will be changing. So it will change the intensity, whether it needs to be glow brighter or be dim. It depends on how much voltage I am doing and tuning it to it, and that basically depends on the PWM. So whether complete duty cycle means I'm providing the entire voltage to the particular LED, or I'm reducing it by 50%, which means only the half voltage is provided to it. So it will look dim. That's what the PWM does to it whenever I change the duty cycle in it. That's this does, and the starting it is all 0, and then I'll be changing it, and this is the I have just given a measurement scale, so it talks about it will measure it around 50 hertz for all three of them. Then I have this turn off LED, so whenever I cancel the button, it needs to turn off all the LEDs. Then the update LED, so whenever a particular LED is selected, it will tell me to select the intensity and the color of it, and that's what it does. And if nothing is selected, it will just turn off all the LEDs. And then I have this another set LED intensity. So if the color red is selected, so I can work with the intensity bar slider for the red. And if other colors are selected, I'll be working with the particular intensity slider for that. Then updating the intensity, it will update the color and the whatever the value would be. So it will be shown to you just in a second. So this is the code, and then the main code it will calling out all the functions for us. Let's run the code now. And have this circuit. So it is in folder grandpa sudo python led.py. So we got the slider. We got the control panel. And then clicking on the red and sliding it actually turned on my slide. So the slider actually turned on the LED. So let me change my camera so you people can see it. Bit chaotic. So this is the circuit, and this is connected to the 17. Let me just check the pin once again and memorize those. So 17, 27. Okay. First, the red LED is connected to 17, 27 and 22 GPIO pin, the input and output pin. So these are for the anodes. These 3 wires are for the anodes and 1 wire is for the cathode, and all those are connected to the ground pin of this. And then let's look into the code and screen how does it works. So I've checked on the red LED and changing the intensity. What does it do? So it is at 72 and now I'm going to reduce it 25 and then I'm going to increase it. It changes. And let's look into the, let me turn off the red one first of all. So in order to turn it off, I just slide it back and then turning on the green one. So it is turned on. It is at the 100 now currently, and let's reduce it. Let's be 22 and it's far more dimmer right now. And let's look into the blue one now. Okay, let me turn off this one. Let's go for the blue one. So I'll be showing you directly. Okay, 1 second. Blue one. So this is how this works. I hope you got the code and the functionality of it. My LEDs are fully functional. So thanks for watching.